So for this series of tutorials, we're going to just jump right into the deep end of what's known as Photopea. That's what I prefer to call it, but it's actually, I believe, Photopea. This is a Photoshop kind of online version. And like I've mentioned before, I still can't believe that they are able to get away with this because this program is so incredibly similar to Photoshop. So I know some of you have not used Photoshop before, and others have used it, but they don't feel super confident, and others are relatively comfortable in it. There's a lot of similarity. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to jump in the deep end and start to work on things. I'm going to slowly have you start to learn some of the basic techniques that are in here, and I'm going to have you end up eventually creating a poster that is specifically about you. And we'll get into more details on that next week. But to begin with, what I want you to do is go through these Photopea tutorials. So you're going to be following along with these videos. And these videos are pretty short, but you may have to pause. He does go relatively quickly on this. So if yours doesn't look identical to what his looks like when you're done, I'm okay with that. This is really more about the exploring the program and specifically these text effects, like how to just manipulate and make text look interesting. You're going to be using your name as the title. So you don't need to use his name. You don't need to use whatever text they're using. You can change the font up. However, I recommend try to find a font that's similar, that's got the same thickness. And what I mean by that is see how this letter is really wide and blocky. You don't want to choose fonts that are super thin or scripted because the numbers of the settings that he's going to give you will not get you even close to the actual effect. So you're going to go through and do each of these. Now, what you're going to end up with is you're going to want to make sure that you use your name. So like, for example, I'll show you one that I was working on earlier. Here's one I did for my dog. So I did this glass effect for Barney using the text tool that's built into Photopea. I'm going to keep fumbling on that word. And then going in and actually working with these special effects. So as you go through the tutorials, you'll see these pieces. You don't have to memorize these things. Nobody remembers and memorizes all of these. It's like following a recipe. The thing you have to be careful of is as you're doing this, you really have to make sure that your percentages, your pixels, and check marks are all exactly the same, or you're going to run into some problems. It's going to be very difficult for me to jump in and know exactly which thing was a typo because you notice like on this one, there are so many different settings. Now, this is relatively low stakes right now. So, I mean, it's more about exploration and figuring out what's working and what isn't working than having the most beautiful, exactly the identical thing that he has. But as far as the text inside of here, I want you to use your name because we're going to use these titles at some point to add that into your poster. So we want to see which ones look best with the actual letters of your name. You can do first name, you could do last name, you could do first and last name, totally up to you. Experiment with these, but you're going to do this glitch effect, this glow, this 3D effect, this retro 80s, and then a series of a couple really kind of simplistic, basic ones that will show up. Now, when you do this, I want to make sure, and he doesn't do this in the tutorials that are here, but as far as this class, what I need you to do is when you're ready to save this, what you want to do is you want to go to File, and you're going to export it as a JPEG. What this will do is it'll bring up option settings. You can go ahead and leave it at like, let's go ahead and move it up to like 75%, or you can highlight in here. 75 is just an arbitrary number. I think that's high enough quality without being too big. And then I can hit save. Now, when you save these, don't worry about turning them in yet. I'm going to collect them all at once, and I'm going to show you how you're going to put them together for me so that I can see them all in one piece, and whether or not I'm going to have you do a screencast with them or not. I haven't decided. So with that, when you're getting ready to do these, just remember there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these that you're going to do. Do them in order and follow along as best you can to get the same kind of effect on the text. The background and all that kind of stuff, he's not going to show you how to do that. He threw that in there. It's not required if you want to throw something in yourself. and you want to experiment more, absolutely fine. So start with those. Make sure you save your files and you know where the files are at. For now, I don't care what they're named, just so long as you can find them.